Hey guys, and welcome back to another YouTube video. In this video I'll be doing my AFL tips and predictions for round 10 as well as reviewing my round 9 tips. So before we get into this video, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you know when I upload, and let's get into this video. So first let's go through round 9, and I tipped Melbourne in the opening game by 10, and just in general in round 9 I believe, what did I get? 1, 2, 3, 4 in the draw, so I got 5 effectively. Not the greatest round, but I think most people ended up with 5 or 6, as there were a couple of upsets, and I think there was a couple of things that maybe sort of sway a little bit differently on some sides. And obviously this is done before the we've got another sort of 5 or 6 rounds before we get the these videos being produced on the sort of Friday after team reveals, so it is or team lineup, so it is a little bit easier in those games to sort of predict, as you know the team lineups. But anyway, so the first game of the round we had Carlton against Melbourne. I predicted Melbourne by 10 and they ended up losing by 1, so I was 11 points off there, which not the worst tip. Melbourne came home absolutely on fire, they just lost to Carlton by 1. Geelong against Port, I predicted Geelong by 34 and they ended up losing, which I think this was one of the games that as I was saying, is a sort of a readjustment of my expectations. I think Geelong are one team, and yes, we know that they're a really good side, but I think they are starting to just show that they're maybe not as strong as what they were. I did show in preseason, I think, in terms of AFL Fantasy, that Geelong have a little bit easier of a run to start, and I think we're starting to see that they had a little bit of a kind run. Then you had Freo against Sydney. We know what happened there. I just predicted Geelong by 34. They lost by 6, so I was 40 points off there. I did predict Swans by 23, and if Freo had actually kicked accurately, they kicked 4 goals 15. Say they kicked 10 goals 9, that's an 18-point margin. Say they kicked 9 goals 11, that's 65. That's a 22-point margin. I predicted 23. So I think Freo not kicking well extrapolated what this game was about, and I think Freo actually are a decent side. I think there was just a lot of things going on that meant that they were 1% off, and that sort of caused this game to swing a little bit. So Swans by 23. They ended up winning by 48. 25 points off there. Then Hawthorn against St Kilda. Another one. St Kilda, what are they doing? St Kilda lost by 5. I had them up by 23. Did I? Yeah. Sorry, I had Swans by 14 and they ended up winning by 48. So I was a little bit off there. This St Kilda I had by 23 and they ended up losing by 5. So it was 28 points off there. So a little bit off. GWS I had by 18, and that looked pretty good. And then Essendon, another team. I was surprised about this, and I feel like maybe I was trying to use confirmation bias to say that Essendon weren't going to be up this year, but they continue to prove me wrong. And so they won again against GWS by 20 points, so I was 38 points off there. Then Richmond, Western Bulldogs, I think anyone could have predicted this flogging. I had them by 33, and I thought that was being a little bit kind as well, I believe. And they ended up winning by 91. So yeah, that was... Richmond's injury list is just awful. I think they have, 26, 27 players available. So yeah, they only have like 4 or 5 guys playing in the 2s that are AFL listed. Gold Coast against North Melbourne. I said Gold Coast by 55. They ended up winning by 68. So it was actually a pretty good tip for just going absolutely crazy with the margin. Then I had Collingwood against West Coast. Collingwood won by 66, I believe, in the end. And I had Collingwood by 47, so that's not even that bad. And then I had Brisbane against Adelaide. I had Brisbane getting up in this game, and I thought they would, especially late on. I believe they were up by a good margin late on, and they fumbled the bag. So, yeah, it ended up being a draw, and this really doesn't help out, as we were saying in the recap of this game on AFL Fantasy. This game doesn't actually really help Essendon at all, because these 2 games could gain form, and that percentage for Essendon needs to improve. So I think they can do it because they've got some kind matchups. But and I start to reevaluate them and sort of give them an extra win or 2. I think Essendon could end up on 54-58 wins, 54-58 points, sorry. But if they do fall to 50 points, I don't think Essendon make it, given that I do think Adelaide, Brisbane and Collingwood are starting to come strong, and they will sort of mean that Essendon don't get where they need to be at. But anyway, now we move on to round 10. And this will be, and I've looked at other people's predictions on YouTube coming out, And they've actually, I think, all predicted Gold Coast. And I was sort of shocked about it. And then I sort of thought about their reasoning behind it and was listening to it. And it makes sense. West Coast, sorry, not West Coast. I'm doing horribly in this video. Geelong have no Dangerfield, Hawkins, and also Cameron for the first time since 2016, which was when Dangerfield joined the Cats, I believe. And Gold Coast haven't lost at TIO. So I'm actually going to go along with the crowd and go Gold Coast. Let me just actually put that Gold Coast. And I'm going to go Gold Coast by, I think they could win this by a sneaky 10-point margin. I think it will be close just because of the way Geelong are, but I'm going to predict Gold Coast as an upset. I mean, it's $2 to $1.80 in the betting, and I never say to bet, but that just shows that there is an odds for Gold Coast to win this and continue their streak at TIO. So yeah, I genuinely think that this could be an interesting one to look at. Then you've got Sydney against Carlton. I think Sydney, the only real worry that I have for Sydney is the fact that they have no McCartan, and McCartan would just help ease the pressure on Carlton's best asset, which is their forward line of Mackay and Kurnow. So a little bit worried about that, but then again, Carlton don't have anyone. In all jokes aside, they've got Chera is out. I believe Pitnet is most likely going to be out. We haven't heard yet, and this is where I'd like to see the team lineups to confirm this. So you got those two potentially out. You got Motlop or Martin, sorry, I think it's Martin out as well. So they've got no one fit and available. They're missing 5 or 6 of their starting 23, whereas the Swans are only missing Mills and McCartan at the moment, as Parker, I think, is destined for another game in the twos, which is really annoying me because I think he can actually be a massive asset up forward. But I'm going to predict Sydney to win by, I think, another close one, 12 points. Collingwood against Adelaide. I think Collingwood are running at the moment. They've got Dacos back to his best at the moment, and De Goey's back, which should help their midfield out. I don't know if they have anyone out. Obviously, their forward line is decimated, but Adelaide at the moment, they just don't seem to be stringing it all together. So I just think Collingwood are going to get back on a roll here, and they're going to win this in another tight one by 13 points. GWS against Western Bulldogs. Western Bulldogs are playing all right footy at the moment. They did play Richmond, which isn't really that hard to do. GWS are struggling a little bit, so you maybe have to recalibrate them just a fraction. But then again, and they do have Ash and Josh Kelly out. But I just think that Weir and Peatling probably come back for those two. So I don't think GWS are that bad. So I think GWS are going to win this game, as I do think that not tagging Whitfield will come back to haunt Western Bulldogs, as we've seen Sydney and also Essendon do it. And that's the reason, in part, that GWS weren't able to win, because they weren't able to get their transition game going. So I think GWS win this one by 17 points. Then we go to St Kilda against Fremantle. Marvel Stadium, Saturday night game. This one's a very interesting one. I think this one's a tight one, man. I do think that Freo's performances, especially their performance on the weekend, can be sort of put down a little bit to the emotional state that they were in, that they were almost just that 1% off because of the events of Cam McCarthy's passing. And St Kilda, they need a real big bounce back now. They need a big bounce back, because St Kilda are currently 14th. They're 3-6. They could really be struggling this week. St Kilda, do they have anyone back? I don't think they do. Fremantle, do they have anyone missing? I don't think they do. I'm going to back in Freo here. I don't know about St Kilda, and I'll be happily wrong about this, but I think Fremantle, and I think they win by 16 points. Then you have Brisbane against Richmond. Brisbane should be winning this game, so I'm going to predict Brisbane by, I think, honestly, 56 points. Brisbane are going to come out and absolutely smoke them. I know Brisbane haven't been playing well, but Richmond's injury list, they have 3 guys available or something that aren't going to be playing in the twos. So, yeah, and they've got so many guys out with knees and hammies and stuff like that. Essendon against North Melbourne. Essendon are playing really well at the moment. You got to give them credit for that. And I think North Melbourne are just shying down. And I think the biggest annoyance about this for North Melbourne is their backline is leaking points. And the one thing for Essendon can do is they can score in droves. So I'm going to predict Essendon by, I think 36 points at the moment. So I do go a little bit kind, I think, on these North Melbourne games because I don't want to be the guy that predicts North Melbourne to win by and lose by 70 and they end up winning. So I think Essendon by 36 points. I know that's probably going a little bit too kind. Port Adelaide, they beat Geelong last week, but Hawthorn beat St Kilda. Hawthorn, I think, are actually not as bad as what people think they are, but I think this is the games that Port Adelaide just need to win if they are going to be serious. So I'm going to go Port by... And Hawthorn have Sicily back, so it shouldn't be as bad. But I'm going to say Port by 20. And then you've got West Coast against Melbourne, and I'm going to go Melbourne by, I think, 45. Honestly, I do think that they'll run over the top of them. Yo is suspected to be back, which should help West Coast Eagles out. But in the end, it is West Coast Eagles, so I am going to be predicting Melbourne victory, and that is the games for this round and the predictions as well as going through last week. And hopefully I can get a better round this week, as there are a couple of results that I think are a little bit easier. We have, what's that, 1, 2, 3, 4. It didn't say I predicted. There we go. We've got sort of already, I would say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games that are 90% predicted in one way, and then we've got one tight one, an 80% up, and a 21 upset that I'm going for. So I am predicting 2 upsets in this round as per the tips, but hopefully we get those right. Anyway, that is the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.